All right, today we are diving into a book that's, well, let's just say it's got a reputation. It's been called everything from a strategic masterpiece to a handbook for sociopaths. We are talking about Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
But let me start by asking you something. When you hear that word power, what pops into your head? You probably picture kings sitting on thrones, or maybe CEOs in some high-rise boardroom, right? Something totally separate from your day-to-day life.
Well, here's the thing. The core idea of this book is that power isn't just for the people at the top. It's this subtle social game that we are all playing every single day, whether we know it or not. In the office, with our friends, even, with our families.
So what is this book really? At its heart, it's a collection of principles for understanding how power works. It's not trying to be a moral compass, not at all. It's more like a brutally pragmatic guide that pulls its lessons from 3,000 years of human history, just observing how people have gotten power, how they've used it, and, of course, how they've lost it. And it lays out 48 of these laws. 48! Each one is its own unique and often kind of ruthless strategy for getting ahead in the world.
Now, obviously, we're not going to go through all 48 today. We'd be here forever. So instead, we're going to zoom in on 3 really potent laws that I think perfectly capture what this book is all about. We'll look at 1 about caution, 1 about silence, and 1 about pure, unadulterated boldness. Let's kick things off with the very first law in the book. And you could argue it's the most important one. Law number 1, never outshine the master. The book puts it like this. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. Now that feels completely backwards, doesn't it? I mean, we're always taught to do our best, to show off our talents. But let me tell you a little story from 17th century France that shows just how badly things can go when you ignore this law. So picture this. There's this guy, Nicolas Fouquet. He's the finance minister for the young king Louis XIV. And to show his loyalty, Fouquet decides to throw the most incredible party France has ever seen, all in the king's honor. The party was epic, way more magnificent than anything the king himself had ever put on. But instead of impressing Louis, Fouquet just made him feel insecure. He had outshone the master. The king felt threatened. And the very next day, he had Fouquet arrested on fake charges. Fouquet died in prison 20 years later. You see, Fouquet's huge mistake wasn't that he was bad at his job. It was that his talent and success became a threat to his boss's ego. The power play, according to this law, is to make your wins look like their wins. Let them take the credit. Make them look good. And suddenly you're not a rival to be squashed. You're an indispensable ally. Okay, so let's shift gears now. We've talked about managing appearances. Now let's talk about managing your words. This brings us to law number 4. Always say less than necessary. The book says when you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. The idea here is that real power is often quiet. It's intimidating because you don't know what it's thinking. And guess who gives us a perfect masterclass on this? The very same king from our last story, Louis XIV. He really turns silence into a weapon. So, after that whole mess with Fouquet, Louis became a true master of the power game. His ministers would come to him with these super complicated issues, begging for a decision, and his response would often just be this one vague phrase, "I shall see." That's it. This drove everyone in his court crazy. They'd gossip and scheme for days trying to figure out what he meant. And in all that nervous chatter, they'd reveal their own plans, their loyalties, their weaknesses. The king learned everything he needed to know by saying almost nothing at all. The mistake we all make is feeling like we have to fill every silence to prove how smart we are. But when we do that, we risk saying something dumb or revealing too much. The power play is to be stingy with your words. Let other people rush to fill the silence. It makes you seem more powerful, and you'll be amazed at what people will tell you just to break the tension. So these first 2 laws we've looked at are really about playing defense, right? They're about being cautious, observing, holding your cards close to your chest. But this book isn't just about hiding in the shadows. When it is finally time to make your move,
That's when you have to embrace law number 28, enter action with boldness. This is where we flip the script from defense to offense. This is about the power of sheer audacity.
there's a great line that says, doubt and hesitation infect your execution. Timidity is dangerous. Better to enter with boldness. Basically, what it's saying is, if you're going to make a move, you have to go all in. No second guessing.
Because boldness can make something that's totally ridiculous seem completely plausible. And there is no better example of this than the story of the con man who sold the Eiffel Tower. Twice. Yes, you heard me right. In 1925, this brilliant con artist named Victor Lustig pretended to be a government official. He invited a small group of scrap metal dealers to a top-secret meeting and told them with a straight face that the city couldn't afford to maintain the Eiffel Tower anymore, so they were going to sell it for scrap. It was an insane idea, but Lustig was so confident, so official, that one of the dealers actually bought it. Lustig took his money, plus a nice bribe, and skipped town. His move was so bold that his victim was too embarrassed to even go to the police.
This story just nails the lesson, doesn't it? When you hesitate, you create little cracks where doubt can get in, both for you and for the people watching you. But boldness? Boldness just plows right through all that. It papers over your flaws, it can intimidate your opponents, and it just commands respect.
So we've seen caution, we've seen silence, and we've seen pure audacity. What are we supposed to do with all this? Well, it is so important to see these laws as a set of tools you can use for observation, not as a strict moral rulebook for how to live your life. Look, the real value here isn't about learning how to be some kind of ruthless manipulator. It's about getting a new set of glasses to see the world with. It's about recognizing these power plays when other people use them so you can defend yourself. It's about understanding the game that's being played all around you so you can decide how you want to play, or maybe if you even want to play at all. And that really brings us to the final big question. Is this book a cynical, dark guide to the worst parts of human nature? Or is it a brutally honest manual for how to survive in the world as it actually is, not just as we wish it could be? Well, that's for you to decide.